one of positivity and beauty and a joyousness. I always loved, if I was anywhere near there, even if I wasn't going inside the cathedral, to pass around it, to look at it, and to see the scene, which was very iconically French.
And also a place of national mourning at times. I recall several years ago being there as a mass was held in honor of those who died on Air France Flight 447 that had crashed after leaving Brazil. And, you know, it was a solemn place, as we have ours, you know, St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, but a place that where people would come to heal and to mark solemn moments. And that solemn moment now is what is happening at Notre Dame Cathedral. You can still see the glowing embers now from inside the church as the roof has been eaten away. You can also see the scaffolding I keep pointing out that traverses much of that rooftop. That was part of a restoration, rebuilding project that was underway, and I'm sure it will be among the first things to be looked at as a potential source of this fire. But for now, it's about trying to save. We understand the artwork, some pieces that can be saved from inside, and to save as much of this cathedral as is possible. Sarah Harmon, our NBC correspondent in our London newsroom, is continuing to monitor the feeds and information coming out of Paris. Sarah?
Yeah, salvaging that artwork has got to be a huge priority for emergency services right now. We also know France's prosecutor has begun an inquiry into the cause of the fire, and that scaffolding that you mentioned, Lester, is certainly going to be a key focus as they look into what caused this historic building to break out in flames. We know that the spire has completely collapsed, but a church official is also saying that the whole wooden frame of Notre Dame is also burning. That's obviously very disturbing to think that the fire has gotten down that far. This is the most popular monument in all of France. It's more popular even than the Eiffel Tower. A huge loss for the city, and one we don't even know the complete scale of yet.
All right, Sarah, thank you. Joining us on the phone now is Bishop Robert Barron of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. Bishop Barron, thank you for joining us.
Lester, thank you. I'm just devastated by this. I just got to L.A. I was in the car and just heard the news about this.
Yeah, tell us, you know, the historic significance for the Catholic Church of Notre Dame.
Well, it's extraordinary, and I have a very personal connection to it. I studied in Paris. I got did my doctoral work there, and every Wednesday, the 3 years I was there, I gave tours at Notre Dame. And so I lived about a 10-minute walk from there, and it was a very special place for me personally. For Catholics, it's of extraordinary significance. You know, it's the maybe Chartres surpasses in terms of beauty and integrity and all that, but of the Gothic Church is one of the most important, and it just sums up so much of the Catholic history and spirit. It's meant to symbolize the body of Christ, meant to symbolize the cross, which you can see in the design of the cathedral. This one has survived so much. It survived war and revolution and social change, and that's what's so devastating as I look at these pictures that after 800 years, you know, to see it compromised this severely. And then those windows, there are so many windows from the 13th century in that building. And I'm you know, chagrined to think that they would be compromised. But
and maybe you can enlighten us on the spire that we watched crash down a little while ago. I understand that it contains significant relics.
Well, you know, I'm so puzzled by that. When I was in Paris, the relics were in the trésor, so-called, the treasury. I don't know if they're in that spire. That spire was constructed in the 19th century. It's very beautiful. I'm looking at it now burning, which is heartbreaking. It's very striking, but it was part of the 19th century renovation of Notre Dame. But much of that building is is authentically medieval, especially the windows, which are magnificent.
And there are a number of, I know, burial crypts inside the cathedral.
Yeah, sure. Bishops and the kings are buried up in Saint Denis, but yeah, we have bishops going back to the early Middle Ages buried there. But it's a spiritual center, you know, for Catholicism, but also I'd say for all of Europe, it's a spiritual center. And then from a cultural standpoint, as it was just said a few minutes ago, the most visited site in Paris, meaning one of the most visited sites in Europe. But it's heartbreaking as I look at these pictures, because I used to so often see Notre Dame there from the back. I would sit there by the Seine to read or to go for a walk, and it's the most magnificent sight overlooking the Seine. So it's devastating to me, personally, as well as to all Catholics.
Bishop Barron, good to talk to you again. Thank you for joining us in our coverage here.
You're quite welcome.
President Emmanuel Macron of France says the fire that's consuming Notre Dame is taking part of everyone in France with it. President Trump is speaking about it. Now let's listen.
No cathedral. I think I could say there's probably no cathedral in the world like it. It's a terrible scene. They think it was caused by, at this moment, they don't know, but they think it was caused by renovation. And I hope that's the reason. Renovation, what's that all about? But it's a terrible sight to behold. With that being said, I want to tell you that a lot of progress has been made by our country in the last 2.5 years. Hard to believe we're already starting to think about.
President Trump, and on a trip to Minneapolis, but before getting down to the business at hand, noting what we're all feeling is this the sense of sadness over what we're seeing from Paris. Notre Dame on fire right now, a significant fire that has destroyed a good portion of the roof, and we understand even the interior walls now are threatened. The flames dying down somewhat, but still easy to see as they continue to pour water on Notre Dame. 8:45 in the evening there. This broke out around, would have been around 7 o'clock Paris time this evening. Hallie Jackson is at the White House. Hallie, we heard a little bit about the president there. He had tweeted and now making these comments.
Yeah, talking about what a terrible fire this has been. Lester, as you mentioned, he is in Minnesota. He is there, and he was just beginning his remarks as we cut away from them on his tax law, trying to rally support for that. But clearly, what is capturing his attention is what is capturing the attention of so many people, not just in this country and in Europe, but around the world, this fire at Notre Dame as the night begins to fall there. We know that the First Lady, not only has the president been talking about this and has been made aware of this, but the First Lady was as well. She was briefed prior to remarks that she made to members of the military and their families down in Fort Bragg today. She has requested updates. We've also seen reaction from, for example, Vice President Mike Pence, from Ivanka Trump as well, the president's, of course, daughter and senior advisor. So clearly this is something that President Trump is watching. What we'll be waiting to find out is if and when he will reach out to his counterpart in France, Emmanuel Macron, to offer sympathy or support, for example. The president is tied up in a couple of different meetings and roundtables this afternoon, but that is something we are asking the White House about as well. So far, the State Department, of course, on top of this, they know this is happening, and we're looking to see any reaction from our embassies around the world, Lester. All
right, Hallie Jackson, thank you. And President Macron is said to be heading to the scene there in Notre Dame. He says he sees a part of us being on fire, meaning a part of France being on fire. Emmanuel Macron, again, on his way to the scene there. There's some more flame from the interior, but clearly we have seen less fire and less smoke. That's a great thing. Aaron Zelensky is with the works with the Daily Beast. He is in Paris right now. Aaron, can you tell us what you're seeing?
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a chaotic scene here. The police have shut down 2 major metro stations, several bridges, several roads. It's very difficult to get too close. But even I'm a bit down the River Seine. Even from a ways away, I can still see smoke coming from the cathedral and flames earlier as well, but those seem to have died down a bit.
Aaron, what was it like when word began to spread that Notre Dame was on fire? Aaron, you still with me?
Yes.
Yeah, what was it like? I don't know where you were when it broke out, but can you give us a sense what it was like as word rippled across Paris that Notre Dame was on fire?
Well, I live on the opposite side of the city, so it came through initially on news wires, and at first people didn't react too strongly. I mean, there was a trash can on fire, but then as the word got out that it was quite a major fire, there was some photos showing up on social media, a lot of shock and devastation, I would say. That this cathedral it's an iconic symbol of the city, the way the Eiffel Tower is.
Yeah, there is such intense pride in this particular landmark, and it's a city with an overabundance of amazing and beautiful places. But this ranks at the top, I think, for a lot of people. Aaron, thank you very much for joining us, and joined now by Ann Thompson, NBC News correspondent here in the studio in New York. You have been there, I'm sure, a number of times.
Many times,
and
Lester.
what are your thoughts as you watch this, and what can you tell us?
You know, when I saw that spire collapse, all I could think of was it was like watching a dagger go through the heart of Paris. That is what Notre Dame is to that city. It is not just a cathedral for Catholics. It is a source of pride for all Parisians. And to see that spire fall is something we never thought, I certainly never thought I would ever see anything like this. I mean, when you think about this cathedral, it was built in 1160. It has survived all kinds of renovations. It was defaced during the French Revolution. And then tonight a fire takes it. I think what's equally amazing as we sort of watch these sickening pictures